King Cole lit up a room with him.
Blue skies smiling at me.
And Fred Astaire danced to him.
Now if you're blue and you don't know where to go to, why don't you go where fashion sits?
As did Gene Wilder and Peter Boyle, sort of, in Young Frankenstein. As a fellow songwriter once said of the man who wrote all those songs, Irving Berlin has no place in American music. He is American music.
There's no business like show business, like no business I know.
Everything about it is appealing. Everything the traffic will allow.
Broadway musical director Andy Einhorn is a longtime fan of Irving Berlin's.
I think what's interesting now is we hear these songs and we define them, the term that people always say, why are they timeless? You know, he spoke directly to our heart.
Berlin wrote more than 1,500 songs for every mood and every occasion.
I'm dreaming of a white Christmas.
Yes, Berlin wrote White Christmas, which Bing Crosby first performed on his NBC radio show on Christmas Day, 1941.
Your Christmases be white.
With all the frills upon it.
He also wrote the classic Easter Parade.
The grandest fellow in the Easter parade.
Perhaps surprising when you consider that Berlin was a Jewish immigrant.
Irving Berlin is actually the quintessential American dream.
The Easter parade.
Irving Berlin was born Israel Berlin in Russia in 1888. As a 5-year-old, he watched as his family's house was burned to the ground. Victims of religious persecution, they found refuge in America, settling in New York City's Lower East Side. When Berlin was 13, his father died. The family needed money.
One of the things he did was busking.
Singing on the street?
Yes, yeah. Singing on the streets, singing for, at restaurants, singing in clubs.
Josh Perelman is chief curator at the National Museum of American Jewish History in Philadelphia. Berlin soon started writing his own songs, words and music.
He bought this piano at 21, and this was the first piano he owned personally. And he owned it when he composed Alexander's Ragtime Band, his first international hit.
Come on and hear Alexander's Ragtime Band.
His process was often to imagine the music in his head and then use what skills he had as a pianist to find the melody.
This is the first piano I ever owned.
Berlin was not a great pianist. He could only play in one key.
I only play an F sharp in the black key, you see?
Oh, the black keys.
That's right.
So he bought this special piano. By pulling this knob, the whole keyboard moved, changing keys. Here's Berlin explaining it to Dinah Shore.
Say that again, please.
The keyboard is movable. It's very simple. Here it is.
In the 1920s, Berlin fell in love with a young heiress, Ellen Mackey.
If you tell young people today, well, he was Jewish, she was Irish Catholic, they'd say, so what?
Right.
It was a big deal, right?
It was a big deal. Her father did not approve.
Well, he initially disowned her,
Yes,
right?
he did.
But the marriage lasted 63 years. Katherine Swett is Irving and Ellen Berlin's granddaughter.
What is the story behind where we are now?
This house was bought by my grandfather for my grandmother in 1938.
Swett came here to the Catskill Mountains in upstate New York every summer until she was a teenager.
And he bought it and gave it to her as a Christmas present. And it's a place that we all came to as children and adored. Would you like to hold it?
Here's Berlin's 1942 Academy Award for White Christmas, a song with an origin story that wasn't exactly merry and bright.
It has a melancholy underpinning, the song, and my grandparents had a baby boy, Irving Berlin Jr., and he died on Christmas Eve when he was just 4 weeks old, so Christmas Eve, 1928.
Mm-hmm. Were you aware growing up that privately they were grieving on that day?
It was not something we could talk about. They
Did
were
you
very private about it.
While the storm clouds gather far across the sea.
In 1918, while Berlin was serving in the U.S. Army, he wrote a musical review for his fellow troops that initially included a song called God Bless America.
It wasn't quite making it up to snuff, so they decided, okay, this isn't the right piece, so he put it away in his trunk.
20 years later, with Hitler threatening the world order, Irving Berlin thought the song's time was right as a message of peace.
He ended up slightly revising the lyric, and then he gave it to the singer Kate Smith.
God bless America, land that I love.
Smith sang it on her radio show in 1938.
And guide her through the night with a light from above.
And it quickly became a kind of second national anthem. But for Berlin, the song was personal.
And my mother always likes to point out that it's God bless America, land that I love, right? Not we, that it's about his love of America, and I think that's very sincere. I think he really was very grateful to this country.
Kate Smith raised hundreds of millions of dollars in war bonds singing God Bless America. But this year, the New York Yankees and the Philadelphia Flyers stopped playing her version, and the Flyers removed a statue of her after it was discovered that Smith had sung 2 songs with racist lyrics in the 1930s. But a different kind of controversy swirled around God Bless America early on.
There were anti-Semites who said, who is this Jewish man to call on God to bless America?
God bless America, land that I love. I'm a 5th-generation American. God bless America. I can be here singing for the whole America and stay true to who I am.
Shulem Lemmer is an ultra-Orthodox Jewish singer who grew up in Brooklyn. When is the first time you heard it? Do you remember?
Actually, the first time I heard the song was in Yiddish. It was a Yiddish version. Really? Yeah. There's an album called Mamaloshin from Mandy Patinkin.
Yes, I know that album.
Right, so I listened to that album growing up. And he has the God Bless America, and he sings it in Yiddish. Gott bench America.
Shulem has sung the song at Major League Baseball games.
God bless America, our home, sweet home.
How do you feel when you sing it?
Very grateful. We're all very grateful for the United States, for America, for their involvement in World War II. Like, especially us as Jews, who knows what the population would be if not American involvement in World War II. So I feel very grateful, and as an Orthodox Jew, what better way to express gratitude to the United States than with a prayer to God? And that's exactly what the song is.